Today we're going to talk about unlocking your success code in 2024. Imagine that you have two loan officers, Loan Officer A and Loan Officer B. Loan Officer A says these types of things to herself. I am a champion. I find a way. I am successful because of what I do. The market does not dictate what I do. I dictate what I do. And then you have Loan Officer B, and his self-talk is very different. He says things like, the rates suck. I can't sell those rates in this market. This market is so much worse than it used to be. I thought I was a great loan officer, but I found out that I'm not as good as I thought I was. And you know what else? My company is holding me back. Out of these two loan officers, which one do you think is going to have more warm referrals? Loan Officer A or Loan Officer B? Which one do you think is going to have more referral partners? Loan Officer A or Loan Officer B? A, that's right. And which one is going to make more money? Loan Officer A or Loan Officer B? A, that's right. Your self-talk is what's going to determine your success in the mortgage business and in your life. Obviously, we can't control the marketplace, but we can control how we react to it. We can control the things that we allow ourselves to say to ourselves, and we can become successful, or we can just stay stuck where we are. But today we're going to give you some tools to help you become successful in 2024, even more successful than you already are. In 1997, I left a job that paid really well. I worked for an attorney. I was a paralegal and his office manager, and I decided to try something different. So I went into the mortgage business. I went to a broker's office, and he said, Irene, you know a lot of people in town, and I think you'd be really good at this. And I said, great. I hope you're going to offer training. And he said, absolutely. Then my first week, I'll never forget it. I got to the office, nowhere to be found. I called him, nowhere to be found. I received no training at all. And it was the worst experience of my life. I was used to being at a company or an office where I knew exactly what I was doing. I had a process, I had a system, I knew what I was doing, and this was the complete opposite. At the beginning, I had reserves, and I was good for a month or two. And after that, after trying to make loans work, that I had no idea what the guidelines were, I had no idea how to sell a loan or what they could do, what they couldn't do, and nobody to help me. It was really discouraging, and I was about to quit. But what the broker did do for me is he provided a loan rep, an A paper loan rep and a B paper loan rep. And I'll never forget, they were my saviors. It was Karen on the A side, the conventional side, and Dave on the B paper side. They trained me, and I will always remember them as being my mentors, training me in the business. And I'm so grateful for that. But I was worried. I was really worried. And now I'm not a natural worrier, but I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. And one day somebody told me about a book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And that was a book that really helped me with some tools about what I could do so that I could not worry as much. So I started using these tools. One of the questions they ask in this book by Dale Carnegie is, what's the worst thing that can happen? Is anyone going to die? No. The worst thing that could happen in my case is I wouldn't be able to pay a bill and my credit might go bad. And I didn't even know then how much that would affect me, right? Because I didn't know anything about loans. And then one day I was walking in a bookstore and I saw this book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And that book changed my life. It was intriguing. This is a book you're going to want to go out and get. And in that book, Dr. Shad Helmstetter taught me how to rewire my programming, my old programming, how to change what I was saying to myself, having more successful self-talk than what I was doing. It really changed my life. So how much does negativity hurt you in the marketplace? The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has reported that negativity costs businesses $3 billion. This was in 2018. It's even more now. Because of its harmful effects. How many of you have been around negative people? Not now, we won't talk about now, right? Because you got people sitting next to you. But how does it make you feel when you're around people that are negative? This is why it costs businesses so much money to have negativity in the workplace. What it does is it dampens enthusiasm. It gives low confidence. It stunts creativity. It diminishes motivation. And it's contagious. That is the worst part, is negativity is contagious. But the truth is that we've all been programmed. Every message that we've ever received from the time we were born has been recorded in chemical pathways in our brain. The brain doesn't know the difference between right or wrong, or good or bad, whether it's going to hurt us or help us. Or no matter what, the brain doesn't know the difference. It just takes it all in. And it takes the input that's the strongest. The strongest input is what the brain takes in the most by repetition. Things that we were told when we were young, good or bad, it doesn't know the difference. But think about some of the things that you were told when you were growing up from teachers, parents, coaches, friends. You know, what are we exposed to? What have you been exposed to on a daily basis? It's like we have this recording device that was given to us when we were born, and you turn it outwards and let everyone else tell you, who am I going to be? What potential do I have? What are my limitations? One day I was on an airplane on my way to Tampa for an event that we had, and I sat down next to a mother with a little boy. He was around 8 years old, and they sat next to me, and they looked stressed when they sat down. And the mother started to say to the little boy, "Stop it. Sit still. How come you're such a bad boy? I shouldn't have brought you on this trip." And all of these things that were really, really negative to the little boy. And I was thinking to myself, she is programming this little boy with bad self-esteem. He's going to believe that about himself as she continues to do that. But then I said, no, Irene, don't judge her. Maybe she just lost her husband. Maybe they got on this plane and they had something terrible happen to them. So I stopped with that kind of thinking, and pretty soon the little boy fell asleep and the mom fell asleep. And I thought, you know, they must be exhausted. And it got really quiet on the plane. And right behind me, there was a mother talking to her little girl around the same age. And she was reading a book to her. And she said, "Oh, honey, aren't we having so much fun on this trip? I'm so glad I brought you. You're being such a good girl. I don't know what I did to deserve such a good girl like you." And what a difference between what one mother was saying to her son and what another mother was saying to her daughter. As time has gone on, this was many years ago, I know that I sat on that plane that day so that I could share this story with so many people, because it's a perfect example of the vast difference between the way one child is being programmed and the way another child is being programmed. And that program is going to stay with their children until they learn that they can change that programming. We're going to talk about today how to do that. I'm the baby of 14 kids. My mother met my father when she had 13 children, and there were 5 at home. She's 10 years old. She was 10 years older than him. They're both gone now. But she was 10 years older than him. He fell in love with her. He told me, "Irene," I said, "how did you marry a woman with 13 children?" I asked my dad. And he said, "I just fell in love with her and I didn't care how many kids she had." And so he helped raise 6 of us at home. And I have brothers that are old enough to be my dad. But what I learned from them, and especially from my dad, because he was an immigrant, came here from Mexico City, didn't know a word of English, and he became a chef at a nice chain restaurant. He told me all of my life, "Irene, you can do it. You can set your mind and do whatever you set your mind to do as long as you work hard and make it happen." And you know what? I believed him and I went with that. And my mom said, "Mija, everything is going to work out. don't worry, everything is going to work out. And I believed her because she said it so often. That's the voice in my head, and I'm so grateful for that voice. But that doesn't mean they taught me everything right? Not all of the programming was great, because nobody's perfect. Some of the programming wasn't good at all, but that is the programming I remember. Do you know why? Because it's the program that was repeated the most. So my brain took it in, and it programmed itself based on the most input that it got. You're here today at this event because you want to learn and you want to be around other people that are like-minded, that are in the mortgage business like you. Who we expose ourselves to, the things that are said, the negativity or the positivity. Remember, the brain doesn't know the difference between the two. So how do you deal with negative self-talk? Some people go shopping. That's always fun, right? Some people get lost in drinking because they don't know what else to do. This market in the last couple years had people doing this. The good news is that we can change our programs. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. You're going to leave here with a way to change your program. There's a thing called neuroplasticity. Your brain is always looking to rewire itself, always looking to wire the chemical pathways in your brain. And it depends on what you give it. So if you're constantly playing something positive, you're going to get positive. If there's negative things, it's going to get negative. The person who's struggling or not making it from day to day just has programs that are not working. It has nothing to do with if you're a good person or a bad person. It has to do with the programs that we are around, that we grew up with. For instance, in the loan business, I'm always stressed. The old way of saying it would be, I'm always stressed. How do you feel when you say that? The new way would be, I am calm. The old way would be, I never have enough time. The new way would be, I get everything done one step at a time. The old way is, my production is not what it used to be. The new way is, I live in the present. Today, I do the activities that bring my success. Think about how you would feel if you said things on the left compared to on the right. How would that make you feel? The rates and lack of inventory are stopping me from succeeding. I choose my self-talk is the better way, and my activities to create success. I get to choose. I can't make enough money in this market is the old way. The new way is, I make things happen. This is a market of opportunity. Like they mentioned earlier, this is a market of opportunity. You have things available to you right now that you won't when things are busier. There'll be more competition, so get ready now. The language of failure and the language of success. Loan officer B says, I don't like making calls. Loan officer A, with the language of success, says, I like making calls consistently to agents and other referral sources because I know that when I do, I help people and I get loans in my pipeline. Loan officer B would have said, I don't have time to make calls or spend time with agents because I need to work on my loans. That's the most important thing, is to get my loans closed. Loan officer A, with the language of success, would say, when I make my calls, everything works out right in my pipeline with my loans. What if you're stressed, you know loans have to get done, but you also know you need to make some phone calls to agents to get some business, but you're wondering which one is more important? What if you said to yourself, when I make my calls, everything works out right with my pipeline. It's only 1 or 2 hours, and everything works out right when I do the right thing. Now, some of you are probably thinking, wait a minute, this sounds a little woo-woo. That's not really true. I don't really feel that way. But you know what? Your brain, your programs are going to fight with you. They're going to fight with you because they've been in your brain for a long, long time. And they're not going to give up their position there very easily. So it's going to feel like you're lying to yourself at the beginning. But it's repetition that makes it happen. You repeat the language of success over and over and over. And I'm going to give you some tools of how you can do that. I just want you to experiment tomorrow, or maybe this afternoon and tomorrow. And you ask yourself, what am I saying to myself right now? Is that really what I want to be saying? Just think about it for a minute. And if not, what should I be saying instead? I know it's funny when you think about it, but when you say things, it makes you feel a certain way, doesn't it? The language of success for loan officers is, I practice the right scripts every single day and they get easier and easier to remember. How would you feel if you said that? Every day when you got up, before you make your phone calls or before you practice your scripts, you say, I practice my scripts every day and it gets easier and easier. I know that when I stick to my block time for outbound calls, I get more clients and we close more loans. When we don't feel like doing something, like making our outbound calls, and we say to ourselves, I know that when I do it, it works. It makes a big difference. Another one is, once my calls are made, I've conquered the day. Just imagine, if you make your calls and you're done for the day, you've conquered the day. Even if there's still a bunch of other things to do, you've conquered the most important thing in that day, and that's to help bring in more business. They only want to talk to the loan officer. That's the language of failure. This is your team members we're talking about. Now, we train teams. I have a company that trains your staff, your support staff. What if they said they only want to talk to the loan officer? Instead, what if they said, I'm amazing at taking great care of clients and they enjoy working with me? The language of failure for your team member is, I don't like talking to clients who won't get their paperwork to me. Of course, that could be for you too, right? But what if instead they said, I appreciate clients who make an effort to get their paperwork to me, even when there are delays? How do you feel when you say it that way instead of the other way? Because it can get frustrating when they don't get documentation. I'm not trying to be Pollyanna and act like there's never a problem. It's just how we react to it that makes a difference. Here is a resource that you can go to. There's a QR code there, or you can go just to loselftalk.com. And I have a resource there that just shows you how to rewire your self-talk. And it has written self-talk and it has audio self-talk for loan officers. It's specifically for loan officers. So utilize that resource. Self-talk is simple and it's super powerful. But when we get distracted, it's easy not to do it, isn't it? It's easy to say, oh, doesn't matter today. I'm just going to take off a day. But then what happens is we get distracted and then it's easier not to do it than it is to do it. We need to be intentional every single day of listening to self-talk. We need to be relentless about making sure that we are rewiring our self-talk so that we get the benefit of the success. And we want to rewire our old self-talk. Here's the reason why self-talk is so important. Your thoughts drive your emotions. How you think makes you feel a certain way. Your emotions drive your actions. How you feel makes you act a certain way. It's consistent with how you feel. Your actions drive your results. When you take certain action, it's going to create certain results in your life, good or bad. And it's going to be consistent with what you do. And that's why it all starts with our thoughts. With what we put in our mind, it all starts with our thoughts. And that's why it's so important that we are intentional about putting the right thoughts in our mind. This is my friend Jason. And back in 2014, he came to an event that we did with the Freedom Club, a coaching event. And he heard this talk many years ago. And he went home and he used it to stop smoking. And I've kept in touch with him over the years. And every once in a while, I'll text him and ask him, how's it going? He said, I'm still a non-smoker. He said, this is a true text message. It's rare that I even have a craving anymore. It's almost 7 years since I've smoked. It was your talk on self-talk in June of 2014 at the Freedom Club event that helped me to do it. I said, so what did you do? Like, be specific. What did you do? He said, I wrote sticky notes all over where I had triggers. Think about that, triggers. Alarm clocks, my car, my desk, my beer fridge. And it said, I'm not a smoker. So every time he went to get a cigarette, he told himself, I'm not a smoker anymore. That's not who I am. And it was amazing, the results that he got. So how do you create outstanding results with self-talk? It's exactly like learning another language. You place self-talk in the background every day. You carry it with you on your phone. You keep it with you everywhere you go. And you're intentional and consistent with it. Here is a resource for you. This is Dr. Shad Helmstetter's, the book that I told you about, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. This is his app. I think it's $19 a month. The first month is free, and you can share it with all of your family members. This man is a man of integrity. He's put this together on purpose to help families, to help people to succeed. And what I did back in the day when I heard about it at the beginning, it was only on CDs. Remember when we had CDs for everything? I still have those CDs, but now it's on an app, and it's Self-Talk Plus. And there's all kinds of topics that you could choose. So pick one, listen to that for a few weeks, and then add another one to it. And you'd be surprised what will happen when you get up every morning and you turn that on, whether it's in your headphones or whether you play it out loud. But when you turn that on and you listen to it, it's like 4 or 5 minutes long, hardly at all. But it will make a difference in how you start your day. You're exposing yourself to something really, really good. And all you have to do is listen to it, repeat it over and over. Every morning when you get up, when you're shaving, when you're getting your makeup on, you're fixing your hair, whatever it is, you turn it on. I wouldn't put it on headphones if I were you. I'd put it out loud so that your spouse can hear it without you shoving it down their throat, so to speak. That's what happened in our family. My husband heard it that way, and because I knew it wouldn't work if I tried to tell him to do it. So remember that book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself? My dream was to have him, Dr. Shad Helmstetter, on my podcast, and I lived that dream last February. I didn't know how to reach him, so I just emailed him hoping that he would get the answer, that he would get the email, and sure enough, he said, sure, I'll be on your podcast. And do you know that when we started the Freedom Club 12 years ago, I called him and told him that a lot of it was going to be based on the self-talk that I learned from him. And he encouraged, that was in an email that I sent to him many years ago. And he called me on the phone to encourage me to do it. And he didn't have anything to gain from it. He didn't have anything like that. It was just, he really believes that people need good self-talk. So self-talk and skills and action equals success. We can't control the marketplace, but we can control how we think by inputting the right messages in our mind on purpose, relentlessly. Imagine how you would feel and the regret that you would have if you left here today and a year from now you looked back and said, you know what, I didn't do anything with that. I remember learning about it, I remember hearing about it, but I didn't do anything with it. My business hasn't grown. I didn't take the time every day to do self-talk. And now I'm really regretting it. Another scenario is that at the end of 2024, you look back and you say, you know what? I remember hearing about that, and I did do the self-talk. I listened to it every day. I took time out of my day to make sure that I was inputting the right things in my mind. And look at the success that I've had. It's amazing what has happened in 2024. Wouldn't you rather be the one that says, yes, there's been a difference because of it? Self-talk has helped me in so many ways. The way that I would imagine that it's helped me the most and that I really feel has helped me is I had a dream, probably it's been about 13 or 14 years now, and I kept talking about this dream of coaching people. I didn't know exactly how I was doing it. I was working as an originator in my business, and I was really busy raising kids, and I kept putting it off and kept putting it off. But I had a dream to take someone with potential and have them achieve their potential. And I knew that what I knew was loans, right? I knew how to be a loan officer. I knew how to get business. And so I was thinking about it. I kept talking about it. My husband finally said, why don't you just call Carl? At Carl White, meaning Carl White from the Mortgage Marketing Animals. I was a member of the Mortgage Marketing Animals at the time. Carl was one of my favorite people. And I said, you know what I said when he said that to me? The person that has been working on self-talk for a long time now. I said to him, Carl doesn't want to do one-on-one coaching. Just like that. And he looked at me and said, Irene, what what kind of self-talk is that? And I said, you're right. So I called Carl, and he said, I don't know if I'm really interested in that. And I said, Carl, I promise you it'll be worth it. Just let's give it a shot. And he said, okay, put something together. Let me see it. We'll take a look at it and decide. So I spent all day working in my origination business, and in the evening for 90 days, I put together the plan for the Freedom Club. We didn't have a name for it yet, but I put together a coaching plan, a daily success plan to teach loan officers how to grow their business and how to have a great mindset. And I showed it to him, and he said, you know, this looks pretty good. It was a really good presentation, and it looked really good. And he said, okay, let's try it. How many people can you coach? And I said, I could probably take on a few. We ended up with 7. The results were amazing. Here are the results that we got in 90 days, because the one thing that Carl said to me is, if we're going to do this, Irene, first of all, I did it for free to show him that it could be done. He wanted to make sure it could be done. And he said, you have to track all 7. I ended up with 7 people. All 7 of the people, you have to track what they're doing so that we can see if it works for 90 days. I said, okay. So we took it. We had at the end of the 90 days, we had 188% increase in referral partners, from 9 to 17 referral partners for all 7 loan officers. There was a 400% increase in new loans, people that were pre-qualified and actively looking. They went from 6 to 24 new loans in their pipeline. There was a 186% increase in closed units at the end of 90 days. They had 52 closings before they started, and at the end of the 90 days, they had 97 closings with all of them together. And so we started the Freedom Club. Carl named it the Freedom Club because he believes, and we believe, that you can have freedom while you grow your business. And we teach how to do that. And I'll be forever grateful to Carl because of that. I'm still coaching with the Freedom Club, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. And we have seen people massively grow their business. But because of self-talk, there's been a new idea that came up. As I was coaching loan officers, I kept hearing over and over again, Irene, I don't have time to train my team. I know what you're teaching us here, but I don't have time to go over all of that with my team. So we started Loan Team Training. I opened a company that my husband and I own called Loan Team Training. And the whole purpose of our first class was to train the loan partners, the support staff, all of the things that loan officers know. But you know, you come to these events, you get all excited, you go to different events, and you learn all these things, and then you come back and you try to change everything, right? But they weren't at the event with you. They don't really get what you got. And so we teach them the things that you know. We called it wow training because we want to wow the clients so they only want to work with you. And so this is our first class in 2019, January in Phoenix. It was live. We did them live, and they sent their teams to us. These are 3 different classes. And then in October of 2019, thank goodness someone talked me into doing it virtually, because we all know what happened in 2020. And so this is our first class in October of 2019. And remember, these are all loan partners or processors, support staff. So who should attend these classes? Your support team, anyone who communicates with buyers and referral partners. Receptionists, loan assistants, loan partners, processors who talk to the borrowers, ops managers, marketing reps. And, you know, I never really told ops managers about it, but people ask me, can I send my ops managers so that it could be implemented when they get back? And we said, yeah, sure. So here's what we cover. Teamwork, how to own their role on the team, mindset and self-talk. Just like what you're learning about today with self-talk, we teach them that for an hour on the first day. And that has been the best experience for them. We've gotten so much feedback from them about that. How to develop great rapport and connection with clients. How to have efficient systems and processes. How to do things the same way every time for a predictable result. Utilizing checklists. How to have a sense of urgency. Boy, do I hear that a lot. You know, my loan partner just doesn't have a sense of urgency. Well, we talk about how to do that. Borrower documentation and great follow-up. Scripts, dialogues, and role play. We actually put them in Zoom rooms and they role play, 2 people together, for outbound warm calls. How to ask for the business without feeling salesy. You know, they're in that position because they don't want to be on commission and they don't want to be a salesperson. And so sometimes they'll balk at it when you ask them to ask for referrals, but we come about it from a whole different perspective and show them that when they're asking for referrals, they're actually helping people have a great experience because they're going to come to your team instead of to another team, and they're going to get a great experience because of it. So it's actually helping people. If I had to call it anything, I would call it a communication class and a process class. We don't teach the loan business itself, FHA loans, VA. We don't teach that in that class. It's a live class. The second class that we came up with, my son joined us. So my son, Kenny, he is a loan partner for a broker. And he said, Mom, I'd like to come and train with you. And I said, awesome. So he joined us with the WOW training live. And then he came up with the idea for this client conversion training. And he said, I think people need to learn how to convert better. So this class is live trainers. And the people that could attend this class or should is loan officers or front-end loan partners who speak with the client first and structure the loan. They sell the rate and convince the client to work with you or convert the client to work with you. We go deep on how to convert buyers to work with you at a high level through building rapport, using scripts, dialogues, and creative mortgage strategies. And that's what that class is about. With our live classes, we have 2 of them, the WOW training and the client conversion training. You get a copy of the workbook. If you send your staff, you get a copy of the workbook as well as them. We keep you informed of what we covered after each live session. We have a private Facebook for you and for your team. You can ask questions. You can go in there anytime. The cost of the WOW training and the client conversion training is the same. They're live. They have to be on video and audio. It's very interactive. So if they don't have video, they shouldn't attend the class because they won't get the same benefit from it. And we have payment plans available if you need it. And the biggest thing is that they get perspective from a trainer instead of just hearing what you're telling them. And most of the time, most loan officers don't have time to train, so we take that off your plate. And we train in things that typically people don't train in. The Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp is our 3rd class, 3rd and final class. And it is about the loan business. It's an online course and it's self-paced so they can log in. Each person has a login. And the people that should attend are loan partners or newer loan officers and anyone who wants to know how to do the loans. We teach everything from how to fill out an application all the way to getting it to the processor and everything in between. You know, when I was raising my older son is a broker. He works for a broker in Arizona. He's an originator. I didn't know what I know now about self-talk. So I did the best I could do, but it wasn't what I wish it was. I wish I could go back with the knowledge I have now and go back and raise my kids again. But I can't. But you know what? It's never too late because he's heard this talk and he's also has a daughter. This is her when she was younger. And he's had a daughter that he and his wife are very intentional about teaching their daughter self-talk. So it's never too late to change, never. Even though I wish I could go back and teach him what I know now, as a child, I'm sure things would have even been better than they are now, but it's never too late to learn. And he's proven it because she does things that most kids her age don't do. And I'm grateful that it's never too late. My daughter, who was 3 years younger than our son, also, I wish I had known what I know now, but I didn't. But she picked up on it, and she ended up marrying a husband that is very much into good self-talk, and they teach their kids about it, so it's never too late. They say things like, I'm relentless, I can do this. But our youngest son, Kenny, he's 8 years younger than our daughter, and 11 years younger than our son, our oldest son, And by the time he was born, I knew a lot more about self-talk. And I instilled it in him. We talked about it regularly. He listened to self-talk. I played it around the house. What happened was he loved golf, and he was a freshman on a team of seniors that won the state championship in golf. I'm from Arizona, and we lived in a small rural community, Kingman, and they took the state championship that year. And the reason he says they took it is because of his self-talk. He says, Mom, the self-talk is what's made a difference in my life. And he utilizes it and he teaches it. And then he wanted to go to BYU. That's where his dad went. And you know what my husband told me when he found out that Kenny wanted to go to BYU? He looked at me and said, Irene, he's not going to get into BYU. And I said, don't you dare tell him that. He said, I'm not going to tell him that. And you know, he didn't hear this story until he became a trainer, and I started telling him the story about how it happened because he didn't know that his dad said that. But I said to him, Kenny, go after your dreams. I'll never forget when he got in, and we were both jumping up and down when he got the email about being accepted into BYU. And I said, see, Kenny, go for what you want. Don't ever let anything stop you. And he said, I did, Mom, and I got in. And then he ended up going to a little remote island in the middle of the Pacific on a mission for our church. And he sent Mom this picture just so that I could see that he was using his self-talk. He had that picture right above his door when he left every day, and it said, play like a champion today. And that's what he did. He married the woman of his dreams because of good self-talk. He had this little dog, and he was a rescue dog and kind of hard to handle. And I said, how are you going to find a wife that's going to accept Kobe? He called him Kobe Bryant, after Kobe Bryant, of course. And he said, I asked him, how are you going to do that? And he said, Mom, don't worry. I'm going to find somebody who will love Kobe just like I do. And that's exactly who he found, because he put it in his mind that that's what he was going to do. They ended up having a baby. She's almost 6 months old. And she is the light of my life. And you know what? Because he grew up with self-talk, and because he trains people on our classes about it, and because my daughter-in-law also has taken on a daily diet of self-talk, they have looked for and found some self-talk. There is some self-talk that Shad Helmstetter has also, but he found, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this, but Snoop Dogg has affirmations for children, and it's called Doggyland. But it is amazing, and these children are repeating after him, and he's making it cool, sounding all great. And do you know that they are playing that for my granddaughter, who's almost 6 months old? Every single day she hears these affirmations from Doggyland. And I'm so grateful. But my message to you today is self-talk not only changes you, it will change the destiny of your family, and it will leave a legacy. So my question is, what kind of legacy are you going to leave? Thank you.